Welcome to the Cellar Sessions with Beaver. Let's get this rolling. Hey, it's been a while. We are back in the cellar. Yeah, looking forward to it. You know, took a little break up in the mountains, needed that. But I started thinking about what would be fun to talk about, and thought about names. We have a lot of different names for different things and origins for those names. And so I kind of thought this could last forever if I went through all our names. So we're just going to pick a few from the beginning and work our way through a few and just tell you why we have what we have. First one up is my nickname, Beaver. That was a name that my brothers gave me when I was like 2 weeks old. They couldn't say Niels, and baby quickly evolved to Beaver. So I've been Beaver forever, essentially. My wife still calls me Beav or Beaver, and anybody that comes in the tasting room who knows me from high school or whatever will say, "Hey, is Beav in?" And they instantly are treated correctly. Hint. Don't say, "Hey, I'm a good friend of Niels." That won't work. But anyways, so the first one, that's my nickname. And then that's, of course, why there's a beaver on everything we do. And I lived in Italy for some time, and I came back. And when I was working at a Stray River winery, we started our brand. And Tom Myers, our winemaker, came to me and said, "Hey, you got, filing names with the county. You want to put in a name?" And Bimmer and I had thought about it, and we had gone Niels, no. Bimmer, no. Utzen, no. Beaver, no. Her last name, Scow. Just none of them really rang well. And then we went, well, what about the Italian for Beaver, which is Castor? And we thought, that's good. It's got a tie-in to something we had done or I'd done, and where one of the places I learned to really enjoy wine. And so that's the name we chose. And we kept kind of following that suit along the way. And I think the first proprietary name we came up with was the Vineyard Tribute, which we talked about the other day. That ended up becoming Zen Fusion. And that was kind of the beginning when of people in pastorals starting to have, fanciful names for their wines. And then in 1993, we were 10 years as a winery. So we thought, we got to make a red blend that takes some of the best barrels in the winery, puts them together, and we came up with a Dieciani. This is our first one that we did way back when. It's a 1991 vintage, but was released in 93. So, it says red table wine, which means the alcohol is somewhere between 12.5% and 14%. That's all that means. But we got so much flack for people going, "Oh, it's a red table wine. It must be all the junk that was left over you threw in there." And we're like, no, this is a blend, a Super Paso blend, and it's celebrating our 10-year anniversary as a winery. Biggest stipulation was there's got to be some Zinfandel in it. So when Tom and I were cruising through barrels and finding what we wanted, that's what we always kept in mind. And we've done a whole series of them. I think on the back of this one it says, something to the fact was, maybe we'll see you in 15 years. But then everybody loved the wine so much, we just kept making one every year. So here's the second one we did. That's Undiciani. So following our Italian roots, we use the Dieci is 10 in Italian. Undici is 11. We are on 37 or something like that now. So 37 years as a wine. That's going to be the next release. So that's kind of exciting. And then, we have vineyard names that we have come up with some interesting ways of naming them. One of the first ones was Blind Faith Vineyard. And I love the story. The kids were young, and Bimmer was back in Denmark with her family. And that was during harvest. And this vineyard nearby was for sale. It was called Abbey Door at the time. And I called her up and I said, "Bim, I think we should put an offering on this vineyard." And, back then, dial-up phone calls to Denmark was a big deal. And she's like, well, whatever, if you think so. And I said, okay, let's do it. And so when she came home, we were trying to figure out what we're going to name this vineyard. And, being big fans of Cream and Blind Faith and so forth, Blind Faith was playing in the background. We were trying to come up with a name and went, that's it. I mean, that's the perfect name. You let me put this in escrow just on faith that we were doing the right thing. So that's how we came up with that name. Haven't had any repercussions from Cream or Steve Winwood on the naming. Another one, Tango. That's I think this is probably one of the first white blends ever done in Paso Robles. Everyone was so focused on reds, we felt we had to do a white blend because we really love the white wines that are from here. So normally you say it takes two to tango, but I was like I say with Castro, it could take 3 or 4 different varieties of grape. This one is a 2007 vintage. It's Viognier, Gewürztraminer, Chardonnay, and Roussanne. What I like about this is it always has this really neat floral character, kind of a night blooming jasmine that always comes out in this wine. So that's been really fun. Another vineyard that was nearby the winery is Hog Heaven. And the reason for that name is there are wild pigs all over that area. So that seemed like they were pretty happy out there. So why not, pay tribute to them. We also have another vineyard. It's called Dos Viñas. That started out with only 2 grape varieties. And so we thought that seemed appropriate for that. It was Zinfandel and Sauvignon Blanc. And today we've had no Zinfandel left. They became old. They were on original rootstock. But still Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet are predominant varieties there. Other one would be like the winery. The winery is located right in the middle of a vineyard. It's about 175 acres. And lo and behold, it's stone's throw because the vineyard or the winery is a stone's throw away. So that seemed like an appropriate name. So we really have fun coming up with names for whether it's a proprietary blend like Zen Fusion or the Anniversary Series. We have a red wine called East Meets West, which I really like the idea behind that. We had 2 different lots of wine, one from our Well Rock vineyard in the Templeton Gap, the western area, and one from, I believe it was Stone's Throw, a Petite Syrah, that was just big, strong wine. And the wine from Well Rock was a Zinfandel that had gotten some frost on the vines. They hung. They reached sugar, but the color wasn't quite there. But the wine had some really unique characters. And we blended them 50-50 together. And we're like, oh, this is an amazing wine. So, it was kind of in the height of the big east-west, east side, west side debate that was going on around town. So we thought, oh, well, this is going to quell that debate. It shows that together we're all better, At least that's what we like to think. And that was kind of fun. So those are a few of the different labels and names we have. We have maybe some other time we'll get into Jackknife, Double Black, Adobe, Whale Rock, of course, for the whalebone fossils, Bethel Road, and then we do a Valena wine. What other? The Paso Fusion. So there's a lot of fun, and we're constantly thinking of names for new wines or vineyards that we have, just to kind of single them out and give them a little bit of emphasis. So hope you enjoyed learning about our names, and we'll get back into them again before you know it. So I think it's about time to call it a day and maybe open a Zen Fusion. Yeah.